Hello, we're in England doing more art books. These are art book reviews just from random books. So this first one here I bought from Oxfam in England, and it cost £9.99. The Philosophy of Modern Art. No post, because I bought other books and you pay post once and then the other books get delivered for nothing. Though they come from different places, different shops, different Oxfam shops. So this book here I thought would be an interesting book. It's not an interesting book, I'm afraid. It's written by Herbert Road, who was one of the founders of the Institute of Contemporary Arts, which is a place in the Mall in London, and they have a bar and a theatre and exhibitions and a load of trendy followers and users. But the book is 99% opinion and 1% showing you the art. There's a few photographs, very, very, very basic plates. It's just after the Second World War and there wasn't a lot of money around, and it's a modest book. But by chance, when I was looking at the book, there was this in the back. Somebody who owned the book has made some references in spring 1952, and on page 113 they picked out a passage written by the author of this book. It's an author really, and it says page 113 war, and on page 113 he has put a line against a paragraph. So it reads, "Those who have not experienced war at first hand may perhaps entertain illusions about its comparative evil. They may entertain the idea, that is to say, that even its modern intensity of horror is sanctioned by some nobler effects of heroism, of national awakening, of personal regeneration. Such a belief is a pestilential idiocy. There is in modern war neither grace nor dignity. It is a mad and inconsequential in its inception, beyond the scope of human control in its conduct." So in this art book there is some thoughtfulness, which makes up for the fact it's rather a bland, insignificant little book. Okay, next one. John Piper, The Forties. We like this artist and we bought this book. They are not cheap books. This was £35. It's a hardcover. The same book is available in softcover for half the price. I didn't find another hardcover for quite a lot more money. So this John Piper book is fairly recent and nicely produced. I can't see a date when it was published, but I suggest it's fairly new. And it goes through John Piper, who was an interesting fellow, and his art's colourful and fairly original. I notice he uses perspective a lot in most of his pictures, not all of them. That's one where he doesn't, but you can see he knows how to use perspective, and most of his buildings seem to be architectural in a way. And if you use this perspective as a foundation for your pictures, for example, that chapel has got basic perspective lines. It's a very good foundation point, starting point for a building, for a picture of a building. Means if you use the perspective correctly, then you're 9/10 of the way there before you put the colour on the paper. And some figures he did and other things didn't use a lot of perspective, but I think he is relying on perspective much more than other artists. That's a very good example, perspective based. And nevertheless, this artist was for the 20th century doing fresh art, and it's Coventry Cathedral after it was bombed, and there's a lot of them actually of that cathedral. I think it's great stuff. The church pictures I don't think are, though they're lovely things, people don't particularly want church pictures in a house in England for certain. but there's enough other stuff, non-church stuff, to fill that void. And I think the value of this stuff will creep up very steadily. And it's quite hard to get this stuff actually, even this prints are quite hard to get hold of. But the prices are rock solid, I would say. And if you select a John Piper print which isn't religious or isn't boring, I think you're onto a winner. Fedden. This one is Enigmas and Variations. Again, not a cheap book. This cost £40 from Oxfam. I didn't find a cheaper one anywhere else. I was looking at eBay. I was looking at again, not an old book, but I wanted to look at it. Not an old book. Printed in Thailand. Published in 2007. So you have all the Fedden pictures, which are distinctive. And she is drawing from other artists, not least Trevelyan, who she was married to, and Nicholson, who she knew, and people like that. And she has some fantastic perspectives. Here you have her looking down at a table, yet looking across a valley towards a village, yet looking up into a parasol. So she knows what she's doing. She's got an ellipse on the bowl, which sets the height of the viewer. So if you have an ellipse like that, you're certainly looking down onto it. If you're looking across it, the ellipse is thin. If you're on top of it, the ellipse is a circle. So she's using these ellipses on the stools, on the seats of the chairs as well. So she knows what she's doing. She's constructing an image, and all of her images are really pleasing. Some have figures in. Some actually depict her husband Trevelyan, and they are painted in a variety of places: Ireland, France, Spain, Africa, Malta, you name it. She's been there and painted, and I suggest she paints there as well as from the workshop she had in London, I think it was, Dulwich, which she shared, I think, with Trevelyan. Beautiful. Lovely, bright, vivid colours, soft edge to the blocks of colour. Happy, abundant times, fruit, food, wine, Mediterranean climates, often hot, balmy skies. This is her thing. Lovely, very saleable stuff. Beautiful blues. She's been to Cyprus, she's been to Ireland. We sold 2 originals last year in Malta, both featuring Malta. And there were also prints available, quite reasonably still. So I think she's a good artist, beautiful artist. Some of the pictures she does are tiny on paper, some of them, but she does do big ones on canvas. So there's a variety. The book, as it's a second-hand book, came with a small piece of paper. I just took the trouble yesterday looking at this piece of paper, and it is a cutting from a newspaper about Fedden, and it happens to be an obituary, her obituary, in 2012. So this lady died, and the owner of this book took a obituary, stuck it in the book. I think that's an interesting thing for a collector. The other thing I wanted to show you before I stop is, in this book there is a painting called 3 Poppies 2003, and there is a print called Poppies 2003, and if you look between them you'll notice that for the print they have removed detail from the sky and the background. They have cleared up detail in the foreground, so the picture they printed is not the same as the original painting. Also, they have removed the signature from the painting when it comes to the print, because she was signing signing outside the plate on the margin in pencil. This is something Passmore did as well. He used to change the colours and the actual images he painted. so his prints are often different to the paintings they're based on. So just a little thing I noticed. It's not surprising. It's surprising the first time you hear it. You would not think that artists would change their pictures to have them printed, but they do. Okay, thanks very much.